Hi everybody, welcome to the Truly Myrtle podcast. I am Libby and this is my regular Thursday podcast where I go live on Facebook and on YouTube at the same time. Those people on Facebook, you might want to pop over to YouTube now because it sounds like live podcasts are going to be deleted by Facebook over time. It's coming up soon. So if you want to catch me live and go back to find me, you might want to get in the habit of finding me on YouTube. It is lovely to have you with me. I am the designer at Truly Myrtle. I design knitting patterns and I'm also the founder of Wardrobe Toolbox, and that is the place where you come to learn and join in the fun and just learn how to make things fit you. And we just do that. We learn about the nuts and bolts of reading patterns, working out how to tweak patterns to make them fit you, modify patterns so they become just a little bit more you, and then create new parts of patterns if you want to really inject your own vision into a pattern so you can use them much more like a blueprint. We do all of that over at Wardrobe Toolbox and it is a lot of fun. Wardrobe Toolbox is just about to celebrate its 5th year anniversary. 5 years. I can't believe it's been 5 years. We run in 6-month seasons, and so you can join in March and in September every year for that upcoming season. And then a lot of people never leave. They join and then they just stay for season after season after season. Most of the Wardrobe Toolboxes do that, and it's just good. We just evolve. Everything just evolves and we have lots of fun in there. I'm going to talk to you more about Wardrobe Toolbox next week and answer all your questions because the doors are about to open. They will open in 2 weeks' time. Well, I've got a slight change of date this year. I'm going to just move it slightly back into the end of March, and the doors they used to open for 10 days. They're only going to open for 5 now, just because our people that join, they're just itching to get started. So we're just going to open the doors for those 5 days, and then at the end of that, we'll just pretty much leap straight into the new season. So I think it'll work better for everybody. So how are you all? I'm going to see, this is a live show, so I get to see your comments. Let me just pop you on the screen here. Oh, it's so nice to see you all. Hey, Kim and Sabrina, Marianne. It's so nice to see you from all over the world. California and New Zealand and Scotland and Kaiwaka, New Zealand, and lots of Kiwis here today and lots of Americans. Nice to see you. Washington, Florida. Oh, it's really good to see you all. It's a crisp, sunny morning down south. Most definitely autumnal, says Terry. Look, it's the same here and I am loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. I'm wearing more clothes, which is really nice. I still went for my swim this morning. I thought, I wonder how long I can keep this going. I just wonder how long I can keep it going. So I leapt in the pool and I have to say, it was very nice. It was a bit chilly, but it was nice. And so I just did a few lengths and then picked out a few leaves and jumped out. That was my morning. So I enjoyed that. I do enjoy it when the weather cools down. Autumn is by far my favourite month. And I just love all the clothes. I love getting back into my jumpers. I'm looking forward to lighting the fire. That won't be for another month or so. I'm looking forward to that. I love a stew. I love winter cooking. I love all of the things, and so I'm not, I get a bit sick of winter once it's been damp for so long, but autumn, there's so much promise in autumn, so much knitting, just cozy vibes. I really like it. I really like autumn. I know for a lot of you, you'll be like, no, I've had enough of winter now. I just want the summer. And so you'll be heading into spring, which is really, really nice. I better tell you what I'm wearing today. I've noticed I've got a little mark. See, I've got a little mark. I can't believe I've got a little mark. It's actually, I think it's more obvious on camera than in real life. This is a dera. No, it's not a dera. I take that back. This top is, oh my gosh, I want to say Neve, but it's not Neve. It's, guys, help me out here. What am I wearing? I don't even know what I'm wearing. This is crazy. This is a lovely summer top made with Quince & Co. linen, and she was one of the first ones. She was the first one that I knitted in this interesting construction that I like, using the top shoulder. I'm going to see what you tell me now because you all know what she's called. I'm having a moment where I can't remember the name of the top. Let me just try and remember, because this is one of the side effects of growing older. Hang on a minute. And it's not Neve, but it's a name that isn't. It's Irish. It's a name that doesn't easily come to me. Nuala. That's it. It's Nuala. Thank you. Thank you, Ruth. You're a lifesaver. Okay, this is Nuala. I knew it started with N. Look, I was halfway there, wasn't I? And it's Irish. So there we are. Thank you. Someone's saying Paloma. No, this is Nuala. This is actually Nuala. Janice says Nuala. Good on you. So this is Nuala. So what happens with Nuala, this is actually not the pattern I'm going to talk to you about, but I'll tell you while I'm here. She's made with like a worsted weight, so quite a heavy linen. And the linen is like, it's like a crocheted tube. It's like a ribbon fiber, yarn. And so it's just all sort of crocheted up. It becomes quite flexible. It's quite a different linen to knit with than your regular string that you would knit with, that you're told is linen, but feels more like twine. This is much different to knit with. It's like a ribbon, and it's quite fat, so it grows very, very fast. And I use quite an open gauge on this one. But the thing I like about these constructions, I've got 3, 4. I guess I've played with this about 3 or 4 times, I'd say, overall. They don't all have the same lace. They don't, any of them have the same lace. But I started with these lace panels on the shoulder. See that? Nice big lace panel. There's something about the hippie in me that really likes this. I just really like having these lace panels. I don't know if it's because, I don't know what it is, but I just love it, the lace panel. So you start with the lace panel down each shoulder like that. And then you pick up stitches on the back and you work short rows. Now look, it's got quite a significant drop from the top of my shoulder to the bottom of my arm. That's quite a lot of short rows. So you work short rows to create that slope all the way down. Oh, that's the slope. Hang on, I've got your chat box is in the way. The slope is actually that, right? There's a triangle. Can you see the triangle there? Like that. And so you knit back and forth, short rows. You also do your neck shaping at the same time, and on the back you do that first. You do a little bit of back shaping because it's got a little scoop to the back as well, so it doesn't go straight across. And then when you get to the bottom of this big triangle and join it to the other one, then you go straight to get to the bottom of the arm, and then you do some shaping. But it's got this long, see, it's got all the way to the end of the sleeve, so it's the sleeve is incorporated, and then you do a 3 needle bind off underneath here, or you graft it. I think I get you to graft it actually underneath the arm. She's got a lot of fullness in her. What was interesting about this top was I made her years ago when I went to Australia to Skeinz sisters, and I released her when I was over there because I used yarn I got from there. And what was really interesting when we tried them on, because there were a couple of different sizes. There were only 3 sizes in the pattern. This is the smallest size. What became apparent pretty quick was it didn't seem to matter what size you were, it mattered what height you were. And in fact, and how much fabric you liked, but it really mattered how tall you were, because the taller people preferred the bigger one and the shorter people liked the smaller one. And it didn't seem to matter what size your bust was. So I just thought that was quite interesting actually to see that. Let me just see what you're saying. Now you've all just told me what it's called. That was a disaster. Sabrina said, I've knitted Serpentine, but I'm yet to do Nuala. Serpentine was the one I did next after this one, because I saw someone wearing this top in a wool, and it looked so lovely, and she just made it like a layering piece in wool, which you still could do. It looked absolutely gorgeous, and I thought, oh my gosh, I want a jumper like that. So what I decided to do was I then designed Serpentine, which is sort of uses the similar idea, has a cable down the shoulder, but the sleeves stop. I think the sleeves stop about there. And then you pick up and you carry the cable down the arm. But then no, you don't, you do rib. I think you just pick up and you do the rib, but it carries from the cable into the rib, down into the arm. And I did a woolen jumper with some Brooklyn tweed worsted yarn. It was lovely, absolutely lovely. I love that jumper. You'll see it over the winter. And then I tried it again. I said I did it 4 times, hadn't I? I tried it again with Paloma, which is the one someone said Paloma. Paloma has the same idea. You start on the shoulders, but I did something different because I actually cut it off like about there on Paloma. So she's not as full, doesn't have all this fullness. She's also a fingering. But she cuts off, and then I get you to leave these stitches live at the end of the shoulder. So then you come round and you pick up the sleeve, just zoom it round, grab those live stitches, and then you continue the panel into the sleeve with a little tiny bind off, and the sleeves up sort of here on Paloma. I wore her yesterday, actually. My wardrobe toolboxes saw her on our call. But she's more like that. And so she's more like a little t-shirt top. And then I used it one more time in this idea one more time in a top I've just put out like at the end of last year in Wardrobe Toolbox, called Sweet Melody, which I haven't showed you a lot of yet, and I will as it cools down. And she's a t-shirt, and these panels are not lace. I just did a shoulder panel on each shoulder, so it cups on your shoulder nicely. I left it live, so I kind of combined a bit of this and a bit of that, and I joined them together. I was doing a bit of knitting architect, and I left them live on the end, and then you picked up and you did a proper short row shoulder and you carried it down. So there's lots of different ways that I've found. I just love the way it sits on your shoulder, this construction. And in fact, she was a big part, this idea of having something that cups your shoulder was a big part of what I did with the jumper that I'm about to show you that's coming out tomorrow. So, hi Catherine from Colorado, nice to see you. So I've got a jumper that's coming out tomorrow. Alex is this one. And I'll walk you through it. She is a Wardrobe Toolbox pattern. Your Wardrobe Toolboxes have already got this one, and it's in your library. If you're not, if you weren't here for the season when she came out, which would have been season 8, I think, then you can buy her and go back, but you get her at a good price. And it's actually a slightly cheaper price than the Mini Mag people are going to get her tomorrow. So just be aware of that, because Mini Mag subscribers, you will get a discount on this pattern tomorrow if you're on my Mini Mag list. So you just go to trulymyrtle.com/Mini Mag, one word, MINIMAG, and sign up for my Mini Mag, and then I'll give you a discount tomorrow for this pattern because she'll be out tomorrow. Alex is one of my favorite sweaters. Yeah, me too. It was sad I can't wear her today. Oh, hi Natasha from England, nice to see you. It's sad I can't wear her today because it's just too hot for me to wear her today, but you will see me wearing her. I think you saw me wearing her last winter. You will see me wearing her again. She needs a bit of a deep pill, I'll say that, because I've worn her quite a lot. So let's talk first about her construction, because she has a great construction. What number have I given her? In the front of my patterns, which is actually on the back of these printed ones, I give you a ball rating down here, and I've made her a 3. Now for me, a 3 is she's a little bit more challenging. There are things in here that you may not have done before. You're going to have to use your stitch markers. They're going to be your best friend in this pattern, but go easy on yourself, because there will be things you won't have done before, and you might just want to take a breath, go to a quiet place and have a little knit until you get her sussed in your head. Parts of her are like, nothing about her is rocket science. There's nothing mind-shattering about what we do in here, but she is just a little bit more interesting in terms of construction. And so when for people who are new to this kind of construction, you'll just have to take a minute and think, okay, what exactly is happening here? So let me tell you how she goes. She has got, and we had a lesson inside Wardrobe Toolbox about this, she has got what I call couture shoulders. Now, they have a lot of names. European shoulders. I think that's the only other name. I'm not sure if they have other names, but they have other names. She has these, what I call couture shoulders, because I think they are quite couture, because if you look at any commercial garment, particularly menswear, I looked at Mr. Myrtle's got a couple of jumpers from a shop here called Country Road, Australia. You'll have actually, yeah, I think it's no, it might be Rod and Gun. Anyway, it's one of those menswear shops. I think it's Rod and Gun, actually. He's got a couple of fine wool jerseys, which he loves. And they have this construction, and if I stand next to him and look at the back of his shoulder, I can see that the shoulder seam is down here at the back. And then he has this thing that comes over his shoulder and cups his shoulder before it goes into his sleeve cap at the top. And so I observed that for quite a while, and then saw that this was called a European construction, and there are a couple of ways of doing it. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. I'd really like to try that, because it gives me a little shoulder cap. It gives me this cup on the top of my shoulder, which makes her so comfortable. So what we do with Alex, is we start at the back neck and we just pick up all those stitches. We cast on those stitches under the ribbing to the edges here. Oh no, to here. Those stitches from there all the way to there, we cast all those on. And then we work increases and the little pattern in the middle. You can leave that out if it's too worrying for you, but you'll be fine with that with a couple of markers. I get you to put markers in. We work that increases every row until we get to the shoulder width that we want. And so it actually creates this beautiful slope through the shoulders, which interestingly, for those of you who are interested in actually doing any sort of design or modifying things significantly, it is twice the angle of your regular shoulder cap drop. So it ends up, you just basically take what you would have done on your short rows on the front and you just biff them over the back. Just throw them over there like that. Throw them over your shoulder. And so this angle ends up being quite steep. I did it with increasing every side all the way down. You can do it other ways, but that's how I did it with this. And so you get to the bottom here and then you go into just knitting straight. Now what I did, which is different to some other people, I decided that I like a short row sleeve cap. I like the fit of it. I love knitting them. They're fun. I think they're really nice and stylish, and they give you just a little bit, tiny bit more structure in a top-down set-in sleeve, which essentially this is a top-down set-in sleeve. She's slightly sloppy. I have got mine. You can see when I wear mine, she sort of just slightly slops off my shoulder. I didn't want her to be a little, nipped in tight top. So I picked a size that just slopped off my shoulder a little bit. And so you could do that too, or maybe you wanted a little bit more close fitting. But what I wanted to do was, instead of increase as I go down the arm to I didn't want to work that as increases all the way down. What I ended up doing was I just knitted straight, and then I worked increases for under the arm. See here? Increases for under the arm. And then when you come to join, I do that on the front and the back. And then when you come to join the front and the back together, you cast on stitches under the arms as well. So you have the slope that goes under your armhole to create an armhole, and then you have stitches under the arms, and then you start working in the round. And you're left with a shell that has no sleeves. It has that beautiful back shoulder shaping. What you've also done is I'll tell you first, you're left with the shell. You're left with a shell without sleeves, okay, when you move into the body. The thing that might be confusing to you at first, there are two aspects which you just might have to think about, and then you'll be fine, but you just think about them. The first one is when you come back to pick up the front, it looks like this, okay? You've got a little piece like this. That's the top of the shoulder. If you can see, I'll show you. You remember we cast on here, and then we increased out. So we didn't have these stitches up here. It just looks like that when you finish that back. And so what you're going to come back and you're going to pick up the front stitches by going into that bar of knitting that looks like it goes sideways. You're going to pick up into that, and then you're going to knit the front. See here, like that. And what you're going to do, so you pick up, it ends up being over the back there, and then you pick up and you just knit straight for a bit while you curl over the top of your shoulder, and you don't have a lot of shaping. You will, however, start this. You'll start this faux V that I've got at the front that gives you the illusion of having a drop in the front, breaks up the big amount of fabric through the front, but you can still stay warm, but you get that illusion of a V. You'll start that way up here on the shoulders. Now what I get you to do in the pattern is I get you to put in markers, and the markers really help you find your way. So I say I've got here, I've missed a page, let me just go back. I say front, I get you to knit straight, you place markers about on not very far through, about 5 rows in, you start placing markers so that you can find your way really easily with this little pattern. And once you've got it in your head, it'll come really easily, the patterning going all the way down. Okay, there. So you'll knit straight, you'll do your armhole, you'll keep knitting, you'll do your shaping under the arms, and then you end up with your little shell because you've joined it together, and then you go down the body. The body's easy. You do a little bit more of the V to finish you off. This has got copious stitch counts all the way through it. And so make the most of those. It will tell you, you have this many stitches before the marker, you have this many stitches between this marker, you have this many stitches after that marker, all the way through. I'll tell you that. And so you can constantly find your way around. I'm going to double check, I do tell you that. But yes, I say things like, with right side facing, the stitches are arranged as follows. X number 10, for example, 10 stitches to the right of the marker, 26 stitches to the left of the marker. And so I just tell you that all the way through. Stitches are arranged like this, and so you can just follow your way through the pattern. The next thing that might just flummox you slightly, because I think we've got to the end of the flummoxing at this point, but the next thing that might flummox you slightly is when you pick up for the sleeve. So when you pick up for the sleeve, because I'm doing a couture sleeve inside a couture shoulder, I want you to arrange a couple of markers in your sleeve cap, in your sleeve armhole before you start, and I get you to place markers at various points, because for this short row sleeve cap I'm actually getting you to start at the top of the shoulder and work your sleeves like that. I'm not getting you to start at the bottom and then work all the way around and then start your short rows. I'm getting you to start at the top. It'll be at the back at one side and the front at the other side. So I say in the pattern, with the armhole facing, I'll get rid of my sleeve, and this is what it looks like. You're going to have the armhole and you're going to face it at you. So you're going to look at it like that. And I say, with my armhole facing me, so there I am. See? I'm looking at the armhole. I'm going to place a marker X, I'm going to place a marker Y, I'm going to place a marker there. It'll be A, B, C. I'm going to paste some markers. So if you're confused, you just ask us. If you're saying, I don't know what this means, what do you mean, armhole facing me? If you don't know, just ask us and we'll remind you. But essentially, you want the armhole to face you. So I'm looking at the armhole in my top. I look at one side and then I look at the other. So the armhole is facing me and the rest of the garment is behind it. Then when you come to pick up the sleeve and you start knitting, I say with the right side facing, so you arrange yourself, so you've got your hole, you've got your markers in the right spot, and then with the right side facing, see, the right side is facing me, I get you to start at one of the markers. And we've already named the markers, so you'll know which one to start at that point, and you start there and you work short rows. So in fact, what I get you to do is, you can see here, that is the top of my shoulder cap here. So I get you to start, if I say right with my right side facing, it'll look like that. And I actually get you to start here, and then you pick up stitches and you work all the way around, and then you come back and you do your short rows. It's just, see, it's not rocket science. It's just slow down, read it again. Think about where it is. If you're stuck, just put your hand up. It's a really good idea to be in the Truly Myrtle Hangout, which is our group on Facebook. There's over 5,000 people in that group. It's just go to Facebook and look up Truly Myrtle Hangout. There's links all over the place to the Hangout. So if you, on my mini mag is easy peasy, I've got links there. So it's a really good idea to be on my mini mag, so I can tell you these things. Go there, and if you're stuck, ask us. Ask a question, and there are people there just itching to help you, and they're just dying to help you out. So that use them as a resource to helping. Wardrobe toolboxes. Inside Wardrobe Toolbox, we have got a whole lesson about these couture shoulders, and we have also got a lesson about a top-down short row sleeve caps. So you can, if you're really confused and you just want to understand it, I would go back and I'd watch those lessons and just watch them over and over if you have to. They're just not very long videos, and just watch them, and I walk you through both the shoulders, and I also walk you through picking up for the sleeve and working a short row sleeve cap. So I think those are worth checking out if you're inside Wardrobe Toolbox. So that's basically where we are. We get to the bottom. There's no shaping in the body. We've got this cute little, another one of these little V's that pops up at the side. And so we start that where we want to start it, and then away we go. If you want to add in a bust dart, go for it, because you've got all this blank space here. So adding bust darts in this one is going to be a really good one to practice with, because you haven't got anywhere you're going to bump into. There's no patterns to interrupt you. And you could either do a bust dart where you end up having more stitches at the front because you've done a few more under the arms, or you could do a bust dart where you actually do a short row bust dart, or a simple bust dart we've just learnt about in Wardrobe Toolbox. So there's quite a few things to do. The sleeves are just so fun to wear. So the sleeves are knitted absolutely straight all the way down. I'm looking at all the pills on this and thinking, oh, I've got to de-pill this pattern before I go away to Christchurch in a couple of weeks. I'm going to have to de-pill it. But the sleeves are knitted straight, and then at the bottom we do these little decrease, like a little whick, like that, and we decrease her down, and then she has an I-cord bind off at the bottom just to finish her. And she isn't overly full, she just is a little bit full through the sleeve, so she won't fall in your dinner, but she's just nicely full. And you can, because of the I-cord, you can yank your sleeve up and she'll pretty much stay where you put her, because she's got a nice I-cord at the bottom. I don't know if there's another photo in here. No, that was the end of the photos inside the pattern, but there are lots of photos on on my website and on Ravelry. So let me have a little look at your questions if you have any, and just see. You haven't got any questions? Excellent. So let's talk about yarn then. People are saying about yarn, could you use Outlaw Bohemia Light? Yep, absolutely, definitely, Adele. That would be a nice match for it. You can't get hold of any more, so make sure you've got enough. And swatch. But I think she would be a beautiful substitute for this yarn, because I think this yarn is a beautiful substitute for the Bohemia Light, which is a yarn made here in New Zealand by Outlaw Yarn, but you can't get it anymore. I love that yarn. The gauge is, thank you, Kim. Let's talk about the gauge. The gauge is 26 stitches and 38 rows over 4 inches or 10 centimeters. And I used a 3.5 or a US 4, and that is flat and in the round. So don't forget, flat and in the round. So you want them to be the same. You might have to juggle needles to make that gauge or something close to it the same on flat and in the round. You might be fine. You might just be able to sail through and have both, have the same needles for both. But I used a 3.5, and that's the gauge I got. Okay. Now, what yarn did I use? I used this yarn. Let me see if I've got a full ball of it. I haven't got a full ball, I don't think. Look, I've got a bag like that left of the yarn I used. This yarn is actually, I believe, on sale at the moment. If it's not, can someone let me know? But, excuse me, I think it might be on sale right now for March. It's from a New Zealand company called Skeinz, and it is their Eros yarn. I'll show you a label. Eros yarn. That is the name of the yarn. Eros. It is a merino. Oh, look, I've cut it off. Let's go like that. Eros yarn. It is 10% possum, 25% fine alpaca, 55% merino, and 10% Tencel. Okay, it's 50 grams per ball, and it's about 151 meters per 50 gram ball. So it's about 302 meters per 100 grams. So it's a really sits nicely in the sport range, but you can use a fingering. You could experiment with a fingering as well. Ooh la la, what a beautiful, beautiful combination of fibers. So we've got merino, mostly merino, so that is soft. It's a beautiful soft yarn. And then we have 25% fine alpaca. Now the alpaca is going to add a little bit to the drape, but it's also going to add a little bit to our halo, because she has a real soft halo. Not a crazy halo, but she has a real softness to her. And the possum, which don't freak out about the possum if you're not from New Zealand. The possums they eat all our birds. That's all I'm going to say. They just decimate our wildlife, or they eat the eggs. I think they do something. They eat the trees. They just decimate our native flora and fauna, because we have no predator, no natural predator against a possum. They were introduced here. So we use possum fibre in yarn. It's becoming more difficult to get hold of because of the way that they're culling the possums now, but it's fantastic fibre. It's hollow, it's extremely warm, it has a dark halo, so there is definitely a darker halo to this, and it is hypoallergenic, and it's also just got a little bit of a It's a very short fibre, so it has been mixed in with other things, but it's got that lovely little dark halo on it. So it's got 10% of that. So it's going to add a lot of warmth with not much weight. And then it's 10% Tencel. Now the nice thing, and your wardrobe toolbox will know this because we've talked about this already, but the nice thing about Tencel is that it is like, it mimics silk. It's a regenerated fibre. It's from eucalyptus. Tencel is the brand name, but it's also called lyocell. So you'll see it as lyocell. It is probably the most water friendly of the regenerated fibres because it has a closed loop system. So everything sort of stays from what I understand, everything stays in the system. You don't just have all this water running off everywhere else, and it was really economical with the water because of that. So, but what it does is they turn all the eucalyptus into pulp and then they regenerate it and turn it back into fibre. And it uses quite a few chemicals. I mean, it's not like wool or silk or alpaca, something like that. It's, it definitely has some chemicals in it. However, it is a nice, cheap match for silk. And so it gives you all the qualities of the silk that you love without the price tag, which is a really good economical option for you for a jumper like this, which might turn into just a bit of a knockabout jumper for you that you wear all winter long. And it will have a good amount of strength in it. Skeinz sale is still running. It finishes online on Sunday, the 23rd of March. The sale price for Eros is $8.95 a ball. $8.95. That is New Zealand dollars. Americans, right now, you are creaming us. You are and the UK, you are decimating us in the conversion stakes. The price, it is something like $2.50 to the pound. I can't remember what the conversion is for the US dollar. It is so cheap. We are so cheap right now. Buy all the New Zealand products that you can. It is so cheap for you. So $8.95 is going to be about £3. And I guess I'm imagining it's going to be about, it could be about $5 US. It could be around that. But if somebody knows, they could let me know in the chat. But my understanding is it's cheap for you. So $8.95 a ball. The smallest size uses 7 balls. That's about a 30-inch, designed for about a upper bust of about a 28 inches on a smaller size. And the biggest size, which the upper bust will be about a 56 inch. So the full bust on that pattern is designed to fit around a 56 upper bust, okay? But it's got about, let me just see what the ease is. It's got about 4 inches of ease. And so the upper bust, the biggest size is 62.5 inches at the full bust. That's 159 centimeters. So you just take a little bit off that. You've got to take some off that to work out what your upper bust measurement is. But anyway, that one uses 14 balls. So it's a really economical yarn to do at the moment. $5. Oh, thank you, Kim. She's magic. Okay, so the price at the moment on sale, $5.13 US dollars for a ball. I'll show you a ball. That's a ball, like that. $5, and so you'll need either, depending on where you fit in the spectrum, up to 14 will be the maximum. Or 48, $5 is $5.13. Yeah, is $8.95. Yeah, okay, so it's a good price. And I think the pounds, it's about $2.50 for the pound now. So you can go backwards on that. It's getting nearly as good as it was when I was in the UK and paying off my student loan. That was amazing. It was $3.1 to the pound. That was crazy in those days. So we worked, and actually Mr. Myrtle helped me pay off my student loan. He's very kind like that. And yeah, it's good. Do you know how the international shipping works and if there are taxes on imports? It depends how much you buy. If you buy a gazillion balls of yarn, Natasha, you might have to pay a little bit of tax there in the UK. But my understanding is that just for a general amount of yarn, you probably don't. But you could always ask Skeinz. They may not know about the taxes. You might have to look up what the threshold is on your end. But Skeinz do have a really good rate on international courier because they're a big company and they have a lot of parcels that go all over the world. So they're a great place to buy. They can do it cheaper than I can, that is for sure. So if you order from them on their website, Skeinz with a Z, SKEINZ.com. Go and have a look over there and look up Eros. I hope there's still some there. I'm going to show you some of the different colours because I've told you about it now. They may have a few more colours than this, but I'm not sure that they do. They might do. These are the colours that I've got. Hang on, let me just try and hold them all in one hand, because then I've got like a bouquet of yarn and red. Oh my gosh, and there's beige. There's actually quite a lot of colours, and then there's the ginger that I used. Let's see, I'm going to make a real muck of this now, but those are all the colours there. So we've got everything from a charcoal, which is pretty beautiful. Your patterning might get slightly lost on that. Through to, look at that royal blue, that is divine. It's a really, really bluebell blue. The pink, you've got two versions of coral, really. One is a light, very light coral, and the other is quite a dark coral. You've got the ginger that I used, and then the taupe. And then you have these greens, and one is quite a limey yellow. It's a really mustardy yellow, and the other one is quite a sort of a, it's not a fresh green. They're both yellow greens. They're both very yellow greens. So those are all the colours. I would say that the colours probably lean a little warm. All of the colours. The two blues. You see, even this blue. If I can see it, this one here, that sort of tealy blue, that is probably does lean a little yellow. The blue in the middle is quite blue. That definitely leans blue. So yeah, that just gives you an idea of the colours. Okay, let me just have a little look. I'm going to answer some of your questions in a minute. So that is basically it. What I would do is I would give yourself a good sized swatch, flat and in the round. Let me just see, I've got some old swatches in here. Look, I did some swatches. I even swatched, look, I just for people in Wardrobe Toolbox, this is the patterning I ended up using for Sweet Melody, but I was actually thinking of it a year before. I was thinking of that back for this pattern, so I was swatching it. But you want to do a decent size swatch, a nice big swatch, please, so that you get a really good estimation of how much how big your stitches are, and also how the yarn behaves. One thing I will say about this yarn is it does crease, and I'm pretty sure that's the Tencel. The creases fall out, and you might want to steam it every now and then, but it does crease a bit, so it's soft. It's just so cozy to wear without the weight. But make sure you do your swatches flat and in the round. Okay, so I have, look, flat and in the round, so you can just see if your stitches are the same on both. That's really important, because you don't want a silly line that comes right across the middle where you've got one gauge at the top and then one gauge at the bottom. You'll feel like a bit of a ning-nong if you do that and you notice, and it looks really bad. So don't do that. Try and figure it out as you go along. Okay, so that's the yarn. The last thing I wanted to tell you about it was just some of the notions, because my mum has been making a pattern of mine just these last few days, and she called me last night to tell me how confusing it was. But it's actually fine. She will be fine. But she's decided to use some more markers, which I think is a great idea. Use markers. Markers are your friend. Now, in the pattern, I say, she's not making this one, by the way. I say you need 7 stitch markers, and 5 of them are removable. That's a lot of markers, and please make the most of those markers. You might decide to even incorporate a few more if you are doing things like short rows. You might want to mark. What I was talking about with my mum is she's doing German short rows, which I'm pretty sure you don't do in this pattern at all. No, you don't. You just do wrap and turns for the armhole, and remember, we don't have the short rows for the shoulder shaping, so we don't have to worry about it back there. But she's doing some German short rows, and she kept missing the German short row when she was coming back to it, because she just hasn't knitted like, you know, a top down jumper for herself before, ever. And so this is just a new concept, getting around all these short rows. And so what she's decided to do is use a little plastic removable marker, 2 of them, for the short rows. And when she does a double stitch, she's just going to loop it around the double stitch on both sides, and that way she won't miss it, and she won't knit over it, and then she won't, it's a raglan, so she won't miss. She's making maiden, So she won't miss increases and things. Those first few setup rows in maiden, there's a lot going on there. So I thought that was a great idea. So you might want to do that too. And when you're doing your short rows down the sleeves, maybe you want to, after you've wrapped them, just chuck a stitch marker on it so you don't miss it when you come back. I do think that you just, once you've done a lot of them, you just get in the habit, your fingers will feel those wrapped stitches because they'll feel the gap, and they'll also feel the double stitches. That you'll just start getting in the habit of it. But if this is new to you, or you're still finding it a bit of a challenge, just use markers to mark your place all the way. Right, I think that was everything. I think that gives me the whole rundown of this one. I would like to, hang on, let me just see. Okay, I'm going to come back to your question, Tanya. Oh, good. Charlotte is saying, here, Natasha. Charlotte is saying, I received some yarn this week from New Zealand to the UK, and there was no import tax to pay. It was great value to buy from New Zealand. It is, at the moment, it is incredible value to buy from us. Down here, we're drowning in inflation, and we're drowning with a terrible economy. But it's really good for you guys. So make the most of it. That'll help us out. It's beautiful yarn down here. Absolutely beautiful. And the courier price, yeah, so there was no tax to pay, so that's good. I think you can just buy probably even a couple of sweater loads, I'd say. I think just look up what the threshold is for your country before you have to pay VAT or GST, whatever you have to pay, and then work that out. I bought the Zilana Kiwi to knit pickle. Oh, nice. That's a beautiful, absolutely beautiful yarn. Yeah, fantastic. Sabrina said, I've knitted Ginger Bliss in the deep coral in this one. Infatuation, and I love the richness of that colour. It is an absolutely beautiful colour. I think you mean that one, Sabrina, because it's got the slightly lighter colour and then the darker colour. It really is. It is glorious yarn. In fact, I might have to go and indulge myself in the sale because it is so worth just popping in. I just want a cardigan in it now. I just think a little pretty cardi, but I have so much wool. I'm really decided I'm going to try and use stash this year. I'm really trying to use stash. It may not work, but that's what I'm going to try. Okay, so that is Alex. She is out tomorrow. So if you're on my mini mag, I will send you emails over the weekend. I've got a sale on the pattern. It'll be on the printed pattern and the digital pattern and the PDF, and that'll last until the end of the weekend. So hold up those colours again, please. I see all of the colours, or just these two, Ruth? Those two? They're pretty, aren't they? Like, I can really wear that one, I think. I think that would be great on me. I'm not sure if that one is so good on me, but that, look at that. It's a really good colour. I mean, this, I was shocked, actually. This jumper, I love this colour, but it's brown. I just thought, oh, okay. But actually, when I wear that, it is amazing. It's amazing on me. Hold up all the colours. Okay, here we go. We'll just do it one more time for Ruth. Okay, I'm going to lie them out in front of me so I can try and grab them at the same time. So it's really worth, if you love a colour, and if it looks good on you, I think you should wear it. Make a jumper in it if you like the look on you. And there is a good selection of colours in this one. I'm going to lie them out. We can count them. There might be, someone could check if all of them. The sound's gone. Has the sound gone for you too? Has the sound gone for any of you, or just you? Just let me know. Oh, hi Glenda from Edinburgh. Nice to see you, Glenda. We're just talking about sending yarn into your part of the world from New Zealand. Oh, look, I've got a bit knotted here. What have I done? Here we go. Look, I've even done I do all sorts of swatches just to see what's working and what's not working. Right, is that all of them? Oh, I haven't got the one I did. Okay, I even swatched that. I think I'll use that one day. I do like that. Just that little sweet pattern. I thought about that. It took me a while to work out what I actually wanted to make with this one. Okay, so there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 colours. If there are more, oh, it's just you. That's right, Tanya, with the sound. If there are more colours, let me know. But these are the 9 I have. I'll show them to you in phases, okay? There's the charcoal, and then there's the 2 blues. So we've got that real periwinkle. Is that what you call it? Periwinkle blue, and then like a teal blue. So they've got those. Is that our first range? And then we go into these. Well, the last one isn't really arranged, but then we go into these. So that's the ginger I used. That is the yellowy colour. It is yellow. I think when you're wearing it, you would say it's yellow, but it's kind of a mustard. It's sort of a browny yellow. But I think if you saw it on someone, you'd say, oh, that's yellow. They're wearing a yellow jumper. And then there's a taupe colour. Beautiful colours. And then the last ones, this doesn't match at all, but they've got a green. Now that is a chartreuse, I think you would say, isn't they? There are more colours. Okay, so there are more colours on the website. They must have brought out a bunch more. Chartreuse, and then the two pinks. So all together, I won't hold them up all together. I can't have enough hands. And so all together, so you've got that one. That is a fabulous colour. That one is a really striking colour. People often look really good in that colour, don't they? And then those two colours. And I think that one is good. So if you're dark colouring like me, you probably would look amazing in the charcoal. The brown looks orange. Would you say it's orangey? It's definitely, it's definitely an orangey brown. It's quite. They're all very warm colours, I think. Except, I think the colours are very warm, except that one. I think even that's a little bit warm. That one isn't warm. That one is a cool colour. And obviously that one is sort of no colour, but the rest of them, they are quite warm. Of the ones I've got, they're quite warm colours. So they veer towards yellow on the spectrum. So, but apparently there are more colours available. So go and check out the Skeinz website. The green does look like a U colour, Amanda, absolutely. The colours vary slightly on the website. Some are missing and others are added. Okay, so there will be different. It's been on sale. It's been around for a little bit. So, and it's been on sale before. So I guess that's why it gets snapped up. I have got all of the mahogany. Was that what mine was called? Mahogany. Yeah, mine was mahogany. But I have written on here, I've called it brick, a bricky colour. And that's what it is. It's a terracotta, really. Infatuation is that dark red. That's a good one. I really like that one. Anyway, I've got a bunch of labels in here, but you can go and have a look at the website and see what you fancy. Okie doke. It's on sale. It's available tomorrow, and be discount over the weekend. There's actually quite a lot of examples of they've got a 10 ply and a 5 ply, so you want to go for the 5 ply. For this jumper, you want to go for a sport weight yarn or a fingering. Check, just make sure your tension's working. But they've also got a heavier yarn. Don't buy that by accident. If you're planning to use it for this pattern, don't buy the heavier yarn. Okie doke. I have a few questions from you. I think I'll start with the ones that I've got. Actually, I'll start with the one here because at least I won't lose it again. Tanya said, I'm currently repairing my old jumpers. I have re-knitted the neck. It's a jumper from the 90s and it's seamed and bottom up and there's a hole in the cuff. I would like to re-knit it, but how do you do that when it's knitted bottom up? Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? I mean, there's a couple of things you could do about that. You could either sort of chop it off just above the cuff and then pick it up and knit down. You'd have to chop it off, bind it off, and then go down. But it might look a bit funny. I mean, you might be able to do it if you hide it in the seam of the cuff. Just trying to think whether it would, because it's very difficult you can't unravel going up. So I don't think it's going to ravel away on you because it's very hard to unravel going up, but you'll want to bind it off, pick it up and go down again with the same yarn. The other thing that you might want to think about doing is patching it. I mean, could you mend it in the hole? Could you do either a visible mend so it actually is noticeable in a slightly different yarn and do one of those? Oh, my book's over there. I've got a beautiful book about mending knitwear from a Scottish woman, and she just does the most beautiful visible mending. I mean, I don't know what colour it is. Maybe it's a cream. If it's cream, like if you had a cream, you could get one of these sorts of colours. And you could sort of do it with creams and taupes, and you could have just a little hole in the cuff just mended like that. A little bit what do they call it when you're mending Japanese stuff and you put a gold seam in it so it looks really pretty. You could do that if you wanted, or you could try and do it as neatly as you can without having it showing. Are you in, I've forgotten if you were in Wardrobe Toolbox, Tanya. We've got a lesson in there there's a couple of things we've done in there about mending knits and different methods. I went through a whole bunch of different methods to mend knits, and some of them are amazing, and that might be worth having a little look at too, because if it's in the ribbing, I'm imagining it's in ribbing, some sort of ribbing hole in the cuff. Yeah, I mean, it might be right at the bottom of your cuff. It might be worn out like that. I'm not sure. I'm going to zoom to the bottom and see if you've told me. No, you haven't told me. So, you're asking me more questions about the yarn. I'll just have a little look. Yeah, those would be my suggestions. 1, chop it off, bind it off, go down, or 2, mend it and think about, do I hide it or do I make it visible? Here you are, Tanya. I could mend it. With reknitting it, I was worried about the stitches being around the wrong way. They will. I don't know if you'll notice, to be honest, that they are around the wrong way. Maybe only you will notice. Could you knit a whole new cuff and sew it on? You could do that. You could start at the bottom, knit the cuff, chop off the other one and just seam it. You graft it together with the new cuff, and then your stitches would be the right way up. Whatever you do that way, you're going to chop off your old cuff and get rid of it. You can't unravel it. Yeah, I'm looking at Wardrobe Toolbox. Oh, good. Yeah, have a little look at the mending. If you're inspired to try and mend it, I mean, you know what though, you could try and mend it, and if it doesn't work, chop it off. You could do that, and then you can have a play with mending it invisibly or visibly, and then chop it off. I mean, there's lots of things you could do, but how nice that you're fixing it up. That's really good. Okay, so people are reminding us, make sure you select the 5-ply Eros when you're ordering. Was that yarn the one you had under the Truly Myrtle label? No, it wasn't. No, it was a different. Mine was on the Southlander base, Kim. But having said that, you could use the Truly Myrtle yarn in the 5-ply. The sport weight would be a nice match for it. It's a totally different feeling yarn though. I just remind you about what was in this yarn. Possum, lyocell or tencel, and alpaca and merino. So what we're looking at is a soft, fluid blend. And it's a lot of warmth without a lot of weight, but it really has great drape. This yarn has fantastic drape, which is why the sleeves work so well, because they flop and they don't sit proud of your arm. So when you are swapping out another yarn, think about, do I want that same look? Do I want a soft, drapey, cozy, kind of, snuggly up jumper? Or do I want one that's got a little more structure? Because the Southlander yarn, which is a pure wool, like a mixed breed kind of pure wool, is definitely not going to have the same drape. The puff will just be, it'll probably be proud of your sleeve, and you'll be proud of your puff. You'll be a little bit more Victorian, maybe, if they had puff sleeves. I was thinking of puffs and bustles and things like that. It sits proud, and it won't drape in quite the same way, but it does have great structure. So it will sort of hold itself together. Your neck will be firmer. Everything will be crisper in that yarn. So think about that if you want to swap it out. Yes, that's it. Thank you, Anne-Marie. Flora Collingwood Norris. That's the book. That's the book I have. I've got several mending books. I've got some beautiful books there. I think Katrina, she's in the US, so she's got some nice ones. And but Flora Collingwood Norris. If someone knows her, can you tell her that I'd love to have her on the masterclass? Because I have emailed her, but I haven't heard anything back. I'm wondering if I've just gone to her junk folder, and she might just think I'm a spammer. Do you want to come on my masterclass? She might just think I'm a total spammer. But if someone knows her, you could tell her, hey, you should come on the masterclass. Libby will get in touch with you, and we'd love to have you as a guest. She'd be lovely. Adele said, how about an alpaca only yarn? An alpaca only yarn would definitely have more of the characteristics of this one. The thing about the alpaca yarn, it's going to be slightly heavier, and it will be a little more, it'll have more slop. Where the merino is going to hold this together, it'll have more slop. It will be beautiful. It will be absolutely beautiful, but be aware that it won't hold its shape as much as even the one I've got. it will be less willing to hold its shape. Now, what you could do to combat that though, is when you come to pick up around the neck, why don't you just pick up less stitches and use a smaller needle? And that way you pull that neck in a little bit and you give it a little bit of firmness at the neck. And the other thing you could do, what cast on did I get you to do at the top of the shoulder? I got you to do a long tail cast on at the top of the shoulder. You might want to sub that out and be mindful of the next rows, because you probably want to break your yarn and slide to the beginning again, because it was a long tail originally, and so the next row is a wrong side row. But you might want to do a cable cast on just to give yourself a little bit more firmness across the top of the shoulder. And those things I think would just help a little bit. You could also add a crochet chain at the back neck or around the entire neck, and crochet chains at the top of the shoulder. And that way, anything that wants to just lip on you and disappear away, you're going to add in a little bit more structure so it just can't go any further. So that would be an option, but you wouldn't have to decide that about the chains until the end. Amanda made hers in an alpaca linen silk, and it definitely has a drop factor. Yes, I think so. Tanya's asking what brand it was. Was that a, tell us what brand that was. Amanda made an amazing version that was actually a breastfeeding top. It was incredible, and it had a whole front that kind of opened up and you could breastfeed underneath. Absolutely brilliant. Okay, let's have a look at a couple of other questions. Well, I've got a time. I'm running out of time, but I'll just see if I can answer another one off my form. Don't forget that if you want to ask me questions and you want to talk about them on the podcast, you want me to answer your question, then you just go to trulymyrtle.com/ask, A-S-K. I don't care, you can ask me any questions at all. Just pop them in that form and I can come back to them in the podcast and answer them. So I've got one here. Let's answer one of the questions that's here. That's probably all I've got time for now. It says, "Hi Libby, I'm very confused about ease. A pattern I saw recently gave sizes and said it was designed to be worn with approximately 6 inches of ease at the chest. Check measurements below." Okay, so that's what it told her. Oh, hi Yana, how are you? She said, check measurements below. Designed to be worn with approximately 6 inches of ease at the chest. At the measurements, after giving the sizes, we've already said that. At the measurements, it says, after giving the sizes, it says, choose a size that is 4 to 6 inches or 10 to 15 centimeters larger than your chest. Okay, so it's told her two things. One, it's told her what the design ease is in this. It said it's designed to be worn with approximately 6 inches of ease at the bust, the chest. Check measurements below. And then it says, with those measurements, choose a size that's 4 to 6 inches larger than your bust, okay? So she said, is that my measurement? Or am I choosing the size that matches my chest measurement and will include the 6 inches of ease? I just don't get it. I hope you can help. Okay, so I'm going to show you this pattern and I'll explain to you how different patterns work. And there are a couple of bits of terminology in a pattern that you want to look for. And I'll talk about ease in a second. But when you're looking at a pattern and you're going to the page where you have measurements and you're choosing from your measurements, and in my pattern, it's this page called sizing. And if you look here, it says approximate finished measurements. That means it's the measurements of this. See, I've given you a picture, a schematic of the jumper, and I've told you what the jumper measures. That is what I do for measurements. So I'm giving you all of the data, and once you have all the data, you can choose a size that's going to work for you, and you can make modifications that work for you. In the front, I say, actually it's on the back of this, it's a little bit different in the other pattern. I say sample shown. I tell you the bust circumference here, and I tell you the full length. That's all I tell you. Because when we're talking about ease in a knitting pattern, and we say, it's got this much ease, we're only talking about the bust. We're saying it's got this much ease at the bust. We don't say at the bust, but that's what we mean. So I give you the bust circumference of the pattern, the finished, see I've said finished measurements, so that's not your measurements, that's finished measurements, and I give you the full length. And then underneath I say sample shown in size 5 on a 38 inch or 95 centimeter bust with approximately 4.25 inches or 10.5 centimeters ease at the bust. That's what I tell you. Sometimes it might just say ease and not say at the bust, but now you know it means at the bust. So what I'm saying to you now is that from that, there's a whole lot of clues in here from my pattern, and I think you can extrapolate it from this pattern too. What I'm telling you is that I'm wearing this, and my bust size is 38 inches, and this jumper is size 5, and it is 4.25 inches or 10.5 centimeters bigger than me. Ease is the space between you and the jumper. It's the difference in size. So if we look at the jumper I'm wearing right now, it's massive, absolutely massive. This has got to have, I don't know, how much bigger is this than me, do we think? All the way around me. If I have my 38-inch bust underneath and we have the fabric that goes all the way around me, I'm going to say this is probably, it's probably like twice my size. Maybe not quite that much. But look, if I hold me in at the side, what is that? That is a little end that's come through. If we hold me at the side and we come out, I have got, I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't know, we've got about 8 inches on that side and there's 8 inches on the other side. There's a lot of ease happening here around me. So there's a lot of difference between me and the garment pattern. So that is ease. Sometimes the ease is big, like this one. Sometimes it's kind of average. 4 inches is about average, but it will vary depending on your size. And sometimes it's nothing. Sometimes, like my Timely cardigan, it's designed to be smaller than you, and that's called negative ease. So what I think you could do, before you go playing with choosing a size, I would go back to your wardrobe, particularly the garments you've already made. If you've already made one, if you haven't, choose something from a shop and measure it and find out, well, you could say, I love this jumper. Absolutely fantastic. How much does it measure at the bust? How much bigger at the bust is it than me? And, or smaller than me? Or is it the same measurement as me at the bust? And just compare the garment size to you. Don't forget, if you're measuring very, very fine garments, that knitting is never going to be that fine, and so that fineness is going to mean you have more ease in it. If you start doing hand knitting, the hand knitting's going to eat into the ease because the knitting is going to be fatter. So if you find a really fine garment and you say, oh my gosh, I just love this one, it's got 3 inches of ease, I love it, then you're going to know that in a hand knitted jumper you're going to want more ease than that, because some of that ease is going to be eaten up by your knitting. So start by measuring your garments and compare them to your measurements. So if we wind back even further, it's a good idea to know what you measure and find your measurements. Now, as far as choosing a size goes, I don't like you choosing a size based on your full bust, but I mean, you can do that if you want to do that. It's fine. You can do what you like. And in fact, if your bust size is about 2 inches or 5 centimeters bigger than your upper bust size, you probably can do that. You probably could just choose a size based on your full bust measurement. But if you've got any other discrepancy between your upper bust and your full bust, so the upper bust is this measurement up here. If your upper bust is the same or bigger or way smaller than your full bust, then I think choosing a size based on your full bust is probably not going to work, because you want to get a good fit up here, and to get a good fit up here you want to measure your upper bust. Now we aren't always told what an upper bust is in a pattern. Very rarely are we told what it is, so we have to extrapolate this for ourselves. In this pattern we know that I have a 38-inch bust, and I've got, let's just round it to 4 inches of ease at the full bust. So that means the upper bust on me, I've chosen a size with an upper bust of, hang on, how can I explain this so it's really clear? You already know my upper bust measurement. So you know that it's got 4.5 inches, 4 inches of ease at the full bust, and you know that I've got a 38-inch bust. It always helps to tell you the 38-inch bust measurement. And for a size 4, the bust measurement is is 5. I said 5. 42.25. So let's just call it 42. So we know that the jumper measures 42 and I measure 38. Okay, so it's got a lot of ease. What you'll need to do is you'll need to take off some of the ease, and then to get it back to my bust size, and then go up and work out what the upper bust measurement is. I've basically told you in the pattern that the upper bust measurement, because I've given you my full bust, the upper bust is going to be aimed for about a 36. My upper bust measurement is about a 36 for a size 5, because my full bust is 38, and I've just gone with the one that fits me at my upper bust. But yeah, if you just take off the ease and work out what the full bust is, if you're not told, and then take off 2 inches, that'll tell you what the upper bust measurement is in the pattern. But you have to get rid of the ease first before you know that. Is that clear? Hopefully that's clear. It might be easier if we write it down and we just draw a picture. Amanda says, I never knit to the recommended ease, so when a pattern doesn't give me the finished size, I just don't knit it. Thankfully, all of Libby's are finished size. Yeah, I don't. Years ago, I decided that I didn't want to tell you to knit a certain size if you were a certain bust size, because like I just said, it makes no sense to me if your upper bust measurement is a certain size. Now, I could go back and I could go forward and I could say upper bust measurement is X. And so if your upper bust measurement is this, you should knit this size. But again, maybe I could start introducing upper bust measurement into my patterns. I thought I'd talk to my editor about that and see what her opinion was. But the problem with that is that I am very reluctant to tell you to do anything at all, really, because you will have preferences about how you like things to fit. And if you're new and feeling unsure about things, and I don't explain to you that, hang on a minute, let's just see what you already like to wear and how that fits you in all the places on your body, then you might just say, oh, I'm just going to do what Libby says, and then it won't fit you the way you like it to fit you. So it might be too fitted for you, or it might be too baggy for you in that place. So I prefer to give you measurements so you can say, okay, well, this is what it measures, this is what I measure, and this is the kind of ease. So hopefully you understand what ease is now, Meredith. This is the kind of ease, the gap between me and the garment, heaps of ease, heaps of room. There's a lot of space in there between me and this garment, or not so much ease. This is the kind of ease I like for this garment. Now, playing around with ease can be an interesting thing, because for some patterns like this one, this is a huge feature of this pattern, is the ease. It's called design ease. This is what makes this top, this design ease. So if you suddenly decided to take away all of the ease and pull this right up here, and so you had it all up here and you got rid of it, just be aware you've suddenly got a very different top. Okay, you've got a very fitted, you can see what it's going to look like. It's going to be a very fitted top. It's not going to be a big bat wing kind of top. And if you're fine with that, great. But just don't expect it to look the same if you're whipping out all of the ease. It's just kind of common sense, really, when we think about it like that. Okay, so if you have any questions for me, there are more questions here, but I'll come back to them next week because I've just gone on for ages and ages. And I'll come back to them probably the week after next, actually, because I'm off. I'm going to talk to you about Wardrobe Toolbox next week. And you can, if you have any questions about Wardrobe Toolbox, you could pop them in there too. Just go to trulymetal.com/ask. Next week, I'm going to talk to you about that. There's some changes coming. I'm going to tell you about those. I'm going to tell you what to expect when you come into the season, how it all works, the price, what you get, and get this, guys, what you get to keep when you leave, because something is changing. So I'm going to talk to you about that next week. In the meantime, watch out for your mini mag tomorrow. Alex is coming out tomorrow, and you'll be able to grab her and do heaps of knitting, have lots of fun, and I will see you same time, same place next week for another episode. Don't forget to click like, and I'll see you then. Bye, everybody.